Well, we're coming down to the final stretch of the college football season, championship weekend, some of the final unpacking it episodes here as well and videos. And before I get to just how Washington once again dominated the Cougars for the, sixth straight year for Jimmy Lake? No, seventh straight year for Jimmy Lake and Chris Peterson, unfortunately. There's some good tape that I think just expresses that. Let me just say, this is the matchup that the Pac-12 was waiting for. This is Oregon, this is Utah, this is the two best over the course of the season, and this is really for a playoff opportunity. I firmly believe if Utah controls Oregon, I know Baylor and Oklahoma will face off, and that will be two top 10 teams in that matchup. Oregon's not there. But as far as game control, consistency, strength of schedule, opportunity, I think everything's in front of Utah. And I expect them to handle Oregon this weekend in a very, very physical game. As for what happened for the seventh consecutive time, this time over in Seattle, it was really the same. And I know that for Cougar fans, this has got to get so annoying. And how in the world can you not figure these Huskies out? And I thought for the first time, to be honest with you, in these 7 matchups, Wazoo would be able to protect against a 3-man rush, but they couldn't. And that's the basic and the very simple concept of it. How does Jimmy Lake do this year after year? Well, you're going to see 3 different clips, and you're going to see a 3-man rush every single time win. And it's different. It's right tackle, it's center, it's left tackle. It's not one single entity. But when 3 defeat 5, you're simply not going to win. And you look a little bit further even at what the essence of Wazoo's air raid system is, and that's to find space. You're going to see how 8 really define and close that space on the back end. Here's what I mean. So this is a concept that Wazoo loves. They call this concept mesh. It really is what Ohio State has done against Michigan in their matchup year after year after year. And so this mesh concept right in the middle of the field and then the crossing route behind it. And much like Ohio State creates matchup issues and runs away from the Wolverines in their matchup they win every year, this matchup, the Cougars simply can't do it. They find space against just about everybody else with this mesh concept, but you're going to see here how Washington plays it perfectly. Wazoo looks for space. They want to find space, but you know what happens when you have 8 people in coverage? You close down everybody. There's nowhere to go, and instead of knocking one person off and winning, look how many Huskies are here to sort through that space, and they can do it, and there's double coverage here, and he's single covered, he's single covered, he's covered, he's covered. Gordon's got nowhere to go. Oh, and by the way, look at this. You know, unfortunately, that 3-man rush gets home. And in this time, well, it's not Vita Vea or Greg Gaines. No, it's Benin Potoa'e. And he wins this matchup 3-on-5. Not only are you covered on the back end, but when 3 defeat 5, you just have nowhere to go. So you saw the sack earlier on that mesh concept. You rush 3, you drop 8. It was right up the middle. That's been a constant theme. Well, it wasn't up the middle. In fact, it was against this next one, Wazoo's best player, their right tackle. And I would say this is where the Apple Cup turned. Wazoo went up and down the field in the first quarter, scored a touchdown, settle for a field goal. You should probably give the ball to Max Borghi, but you settle for a field goal. But to me, this is where the game turned. It's 10-7 at this point, and all of a sudden on a first down, yeah, this happens to your right tackle. 3-man rush, there's nowhere for Gordon to go. It's a sack. So after a first down sack, now you come back, and as I said earlier, we saw this matchup lose, we saw this matchup lose, and now you're going to see Joe Tryon with, to me, again, just the turning point of this Apple Cup. The game is tight. It's actually 14-10 Washington. They score on a fade route. So it's 14-10 after that first down sack, and if you're Anthony Gordon, you're saying this year is going to be different. My 5 are going to block their 3. If you're Mike Leach, you're saying this year is going to be different. Our 5 can block their 3. This is not the dominant NFL lineman on that defensive line. But again, we get sacked or forced up the middle, we get beat on the right, and then this is beat on the left, and I think that's even where Gordon's ankle gets tweaked. This is where the Apple Cup turned. From this point forward, you really only had 1.5 other drives where you sustained anything. You kick a field goal, Borghi fumbles late. But until Wazoo finds a way to not only win down the field in some man-to-man, but more importantly, block 3 Huskies or block 4 Huskies, you're not going to win this matchup.